Yeah, good day viewers, welcome to my channel. This is Radical Science. If today is the first time of visiting my channel, all I want you to do is to pay attention to this video because I am going to give you all the list of the specimen given by WAEC this year. As you all know, biology specimen is out, and in this my tutorial today, I am going to list them out so that you will know what you are going to be seeing as far as this year's exam practical biology is concerned. But before we go into that, I want us to look at some of the major rules or some of the major areas where you may find difficult as far as your exam this year is concerned when it comes to biology practical. And these areas are areas where students find it difficult. Sometimes after you writing your exam, you will feel that you have written well, but by the time the result comes out, you begin to see that you did not do well in your performance. So that is the reason why I have come today to break it down for you so that you will never make mistake. And remember, if you have any question as far as this tutorial is concerned, all I want you to do is to leave a comment in the comment section, and I promise you that I will give you answer to your question. And again, if you need this specimen, all you need to do is just on the comment section, I need it, and I will definitely send it to you. Now here, let's take example. Here you may have specimen A to be a rat. Now you may also have specimen B to be let's just say a leaf. Okay? Yes. So on that particular day, and there are other ones, maybe up to Y or X. Okay? But let's just take a look at this particular A and B. From here, you'll be able to have knowledge on how these questions will come in your practical biology. Now, for example, these particular organisms will be placed on the table on that very day, very early in the morning. As you are entering the hall, you'll be seeing the specimen placed on the table. Now, in each of these specimens, they will label it. The organism will be labeled. The name will not be written there. Take note. The names will not be written. The only thing that will be written there is just the alphabet which WAEC gave in order to denote some of these organisms. Like this one now, this leaf, they may place they may write B on the piece of paper and pin it with the leaf on the table there. From there, questions will begin to arise from all this. And also have it in mind that questions will not come, or WAEC will never set question outside from the specimen that has been given to you. So now let's take a look at some of these terms and how WAEC chooses to set questions using the specimen provided. Okay, now when you see something like, in this particular exam, you will see something like identify. You see something like identify. What does identify mean? Identify simply means that you should write the name of the organism. Here now, they may ask you to identify specimen A. Identify specimen A. What does it mean? It means that what is specimen A? And from our specimen, or from the table where we placed all this, we can see that the specimen here is rats. So all you need to do is you come to your paper and write rats. Okay, that is for specimen B. You may be asked identify specimen B. You just come there and write specimen B as what? Leaf. You may be asked identify specimen C. For example, your specimen C may be an ant. You can just come here and write ant. So on and so forth. So whenever you are asked to identify a biology practical, have it in mind that you are asked to write the name of that particular organism which has been given to you or which has been provided by your teacher. Okay, now secondly, you will always see a question like state the kingdom of that specimen which you have mentioned, or state the phylum or class of that particular specimen. For example, you may be asked to state the kingdom of specimen A. State the kingdom of specimen A. Now from here, what is the kingdom for specimen A? The kingdom for specimen A now is Animalia kingdom. Animalia kingdom, that is the kingdom. Now still on that, you may be asked to state the phylum of rats. And we all know that the phylum of rats is Chordata. is code data. So all you need to do is, without wasting time, you just go to the space provided for you and write code data. Now in this case, you may also be asked to state the class of specimen A or any specimen provided for you. So all you need to do there now is, you still come here, you know the class of specimen A, which is a rat, you know the class which we know as mammal. Mammals. So that is where they belong. So here now, from here, any question that comes in form of either kingdom, phylum, class, you already know that it is animal, chordata, and mammal, depending on the organism that will be given to you. You can also be asked to state the kingdom of specimen B, or kingdom of any specimen that has been provided for you by your teacher. So take note of those things. It is very, very important in your practical. Now the next thing that they don't fail to ask is drawing, and that is the part that carries most mark. Yes, that is the part that carries the highest mark. So for you to do well as far as biology practicals are concerned, you must know how to draw very, very well. It is very, very important. You must know how to draw very, very well. So anybody who can draw perfectly or draw accurately has a very high chance of performing excellently in biology. But have it in mind that drawing in biology is quite different from drawing in, let's say, theater art or all this thing. Though they are similar, but there are some rules that you must follow. There are some guidelines you must take note of. And I would like us to dwell more on this drawing, because that is where WAEC focuses more on as far as biology practical is concerned. Now, when we talk about drawing, there are some things that you will see which every year they must ask you for that. Now, in cases like, for example, let's use specimen A now. They may ask you to draw and label specimen A using a scale of 6 centimeters to 8 centimeters. Draw and label specimen A using a scale of 6 centimeters to 8 centimeters. Now, if you look at this now, some students will go as far as using their meter rule, which was given to them, and measure from 6 to 8. And by the time they measure, you discover that they will have something like this. Which is not what this statement is actually talking about. What this statement means is that your drawing must not be below 6 cm and it must not be above 8 cm. That is what it means. Your drawing must not be below 6 centimeters and it must not be above 8 centimeters. Meaning that your drawing should be in between 7 centimeters to 8 centimeters. Now, that is the more reason why you must be careful in your drawing and in scale measurements. That is to say that you must have your meter rule, your small ruler which WAEC gave to you in your mathematical set to measure it accurately. So now let's take a look at this. Like as I said earlier, what it means is it must not be below 6 centimeters and it must not be above 8 centimeters. So while measuring, you start from 0. Let's assume now that this is your exam booklet. This is your exam booklet. Now in this case, you can place your meter rule. You must start with 0. Very, very important. You must start with 0. Now let's assume this is our 0 here. Now you measure 0. You put a small dot with your pencil. Remember, whatever you are doing here, you are doing it with pencil, and don't use biro on this for security reasons. So here now we have 0. Then you can, let's put it at 7.9. You see, here we have 7.9. Now, all our specimen, all our drawing must cover this 7.9. Okay, so let's take a look at this. Now use your pencil, and remember, when you are drawing, ensure that you draw accurately. You draw accurately. There are certain things WAEC look out for in practical specimen. What they look out for there is, one, your neatness of the drawing. Neatness of the drawing. If your drawing is not neat, or you are a kind of person that at the cost of drawing you use a blunt pencil, at the cost of drawing you draw, you clean, you draw, you clean, by the time you are done with the exam, that space given to you for drawing must have already been messed up. So with that, it will reduce your mark. Neatness in drawing has its own mark. Okay, so you ensure that your drawing must be very, very neat. Very, very neat. Very important. 2, you must avoid shading. In biology drawing, we don't shade. Okay, now let me give you example of this drawing. Please remember, what you are asked to draw is specimen A, and our specimen A is rats. Okay, our specimen A is rats, and we are asked to draw using 6 centimeters to 8 centimeters. Now let us assume that our 0 in our meter rule starts from here, and we have put the dot here, and our 7.9 is at this particular point. Okay, I'm just using this board as example, but in your own book, you ensure that you measure it accurately before you begin. Okay, so in this case now, what you have to do is you start from here. You start from here. Okay, so now look at, this is exactly the size of my drawing. So now, even if I should measure this with a meter rule, because the marker who will mark your paper will make use of meter rule in marking. So as soon as they place the meter rule and it is above 8 centimeters, which means it is minus 1 mark. Okay, so you must take note of that. Or if they measure it and it is not up to 6 centimeters, meaning that it is also minus 1 mark. So you must do everything you can to ensure that your specimen must be accurately measured. And remember, we do not shade in biology. Like some students, when they want to draw these hairs, or the fall as we call it, they will now begin to shade it. They want to beautify it. No, you don't beautify in biology. When you want to draw the hairs or the fall, just do it this way and go your way. Now again, you should avoid using broken lines. For example, you see some people that want to draw this, they will first of all use broken lines like this, and at the end of the day, they will not remember to cut it or join all of them together. Please avoid that. It is very, very wrong, and it can cost you your mark. So it is very, very important you draw accurately and fix the lines accurately. Okay. Now, another thing that is considered in biology practical as far as the drawing is concerned is the details. Your drawing must be detailed. Very, very important. It must be detailed. If it is not detailed, it means that everything you are doing is quite different from what you have been given. What we mean by something being detailed, it means that that thing must have all the things that is seen physically in that particular specimen. Everything that is seen. Now, for example, you see some people, when after drawing this rat, they will not remember to put this particular hairs on the mouth, which we call the whisker. It is very, very wrong. So you must pay attention to all the important details of that particular organism that is given to you as specimen to work with. It is very, 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 very important. I believe you are getting everything I am saying correctly. Now, another thing here now is your labeling. Your labeling is very, very important. Labeling. If you are unable to label accurately, it means that you are losing one mark. It means you are losing one mark. So it is important for you to know the names of each of the part of this organism and label them if you are asked to label. Remember, when you want to label, please make use of your ruler or meter rule, as we call it. Now, when you want to label this particular part, which is the head, you can use your meter rule, draw a line, and make sure that the line will be very, very straight. Don't come and do something like zigzag. Please avoid it. It is very, very wrong. So use your meter rule to draw a straight line. It makes your work to be neat. And remember what I said earlier, neatness of drawing has its own mark, which is +1. So if your work is not neat, it means that one mark is going out from your drawing. So now in this case, we label head. We label head. Okay. Now let me show you the easiest way of labeling. Easiest way of labeling, so that even if you don't remember anything, as far as organisms are concerned, there are certain things you must remember, and by the time you do it, you will discover that you've already started making your mark in the drawing. Now, every animal, mostly chordatas are divided into 4 parts. They are divided into 4 parts. So while drawing, first of all, identify those 4 parts. Now, you already know they are made up of head. So from here to here is the head. Now, from here to here is the neck. Then from here to here is the trunk. Now from here to here is the tail. So by the time you are able to list out these 4 parts, you've already started. So even if you don't know how to label the other part, at least you've already started. So every chordata, just like lizard, you still have these 4 parts. Just remember to label the 4 parts first. If it is earth, like chicken, it also have 4 parts. So once you are done with this, now you now begin to think of those little ones that you think you have, that you are seeing in yourself, that you already have, that you can remember. Everybody have eyes, you can remember eyes. Now the animal also have eyes. Now you just come here and label the eyes. The eye. Now we know that the animal have ear. Everybody knows, even a nursery 1 student or people knows that this thing is called the ear. So you come here and also label ear. Now we also know that it has the mouth. Now you also come here and label the mouth. Now please take this note. Be very important, very, very important. Now when you want to label, you don't allow your lines to cross this way. Like I want to label the mouth, now I'll cross it this way. No, it is not that way. Just make it straight. Make it straight. Okay. Now the next thing there is, now we look at the legs. We don't call it leg, we call it the limb. So here now, this particular one, now we call it the forelimb. Forelimb. Now this one, we call it the hind limb. Here now, we call it this one, now we call it the toes. The toe. Okay? Now, here now, we already know that this place now is called, the thigh. It's called the thigh. Now, this hair here, we call it the fore. If you don't want to call it fore, you can call it hairs. Okay? So, as you can see, the drawing is complete and the labeling is complete. If you can be able to draw and label this particular organism like this, it means that you have already gotten all the necessary marks that you need. And again, very, very important, this is where students make great deal of mistake. They make a lot of mistake here. Now, when you are drawing, after you are finished drawing, or even before you start drawing, ensure that that drawing must have a title. Because title also have its own 1 mark. its own 1 mark. So after your drawing or before your drawing, you did not remember to put the title, it means that you are losing 1 mark. If the total mark of this particular specimen is 6, now check it when you begin to make all this small mistake. Possibly you drew very well, but you were unable to look out for these little mistakes. You discover that at the end of the day, your marks will not be complete. And by the time you are done with the exam, you begin to post, I wrote very well. But by the time the result comes out, you discover that you did nothing. So in your title, it's either you write your title below or you write your title above. Now, let's look at this. Look at how to write title. The structure of a rat. And remember, when you want to write your rat, you don't write it with small letter. Please, very important. You don't write it with small letter. You don't write it with small letter. Rather, you start it with what? Small capital letter. A rat. Very important. A rat is very, very important. So now we have gotten the structure of a rat, which is the title. It's either, if you write in capital letter, not underline, but if you write in small letter, you just underline. Remember, you can write on top or you can write below. Now, that is another thing that is very, very important as far as biology practical is concerned, or possibly drawing in biology practical is concerned. Now look at this. It seems I'm taking much time in explaining the drawing aspect of this practical because it carries a very high mark. It carries a very high mark, and there are a lot of things you must consider. Now here, another thing you should look at for is magnification. Magnification. Okay, magnification, which is this particular one. It is very, very important. And sometimes we denote it with mg. We denote it with mg. mg. Now, what is this magnification? Magnification, after you must have finished your drawing, the next thing you do is you calculate the magnification. And how do we calculate the magnification? The magnification is calculated by actual, okay, or you just say size of the drawing divided by size of the specimen. Size of specimen divided by size of the specimen, which will now give you equal to x. Okay? Size of the magnification is size of the drawing divided by size of specimen. And the answer will be denoted or will have the value of x something. Let's assume if it is x10, you will now do it like this, x10. If it is 20, you will do it x20. If it is 10, if it is 0.5, you will still do it x 0.5. Okay, it must have x at the front. So now let's calculate. Let me show you how to know the size of the drawing and the actual size of the specimen. Now, what you should do for you to get the size of the drawing, remember what you measured before. What you measured before was 7.9. That was what we measured with our meter rule. From that period when we measured it earlier, we got 7.9. Now, for you to get the size of the specimen, all you need to do is you go and measure that specimen. Go and measure that specimen where they kept it. It is your right. It is your right to go there, because already each candidate, like 10 of you, will be provided with all these specimen on your table. So you go there and measure the size of the specimen. Let us assume that on the table where the specimen is kept, let's assume that the length of the specimen is, let's say 20.2. So all you will now do is you will now say 7.9 divided by 20.2. Whatever it gives to you, it will now be. So when 7.9 divided by 20.2. It will give us 0.395. So the answer now becomes 0.395, or you can just approximate it to 0.4. So that becomes the magnification. So in every drawing, once you are done drawing, ensure you calculate the magnification. With this, you are already having all the marks that is given in that particular specimen. Okay, so that is that on that. Now let's take a look at something very important in the aspect of drawing. Very, very important. Like I said earlier, drawing is very, very important. Drawing is very, very important as far as practicals are concerned. So you must learn how to draw effectively. You must learn how to draw effectively. Now, in most cases, you will see a question like this. You will see a question like this. You see a question like this. Using a scale of, let's say, 5 centimeter to 6 centimeter. Draw and label a transverse section of specimen, let's say specimen D. Okay, using a scale of 5 centimeters to 6 centimeters, draw and label a transverse section of specimen D. Now in this case, let us assume that in the specimen you are given let's say orange as specimen D, and you are asked to draw and label a transverse section of specimen D. Now there are two different terms that are mostly used here. If you are not asked to draw using transverse section, you may be asked to draw using longitudinal. So you may be asked to draw and label a transverse section or a longitudinal section of specimen D. Okay. Now let's take a look at this. When you are asked to draw using a transverse section, it means that that orange will come in this form. It will just be orange that is cut this way. So look at how it will now be. Here now we have now, this is a typical example or drawing of a transverse section. So if you look at this orange now, this orange was just cut into half like this. And this particular view, this particular section is to be drawn. Now, this is a transverse section. Transverse section of orange or specimen D. Now, when you are asked to draw the longitudinal section, now the longitudinal section comes in this form. It comes in this form. So this is the longitudinal. is a longitudinal section of an orange. Transverse, longitudinal. So this kind of orange now is a kind of orange you cut. The orange was cut into half like this. While this one was cut into this shape. So this is transverse section and this is a longitudinal section. So remember, when you are asked to label now, all you need to do now is you just label. So this is this place now epicap. Now this place now is called the mesocarp. Then the inner part is called the endocarp. Together we call it pericarp. Now this place now is called the seed, while the center is called the placenta. So why I gave you this example is so that in case you see a question that comes this way, you will not be confused. Whenever they say transverse section, have it in mind that they are talking about this shape. Whenever they say longitudinal section, have it in mind that they are talking about this shape. So if you are asked to label this, it's still the same labeling: epicarp, mesocarp, and endocarp. Then here now becomes the seed. Then this place becomes the placenta. And remember what placenta is. The point of attachment of the seed. That is what placenta is. Okay, so I believe I have made myself clear on this description that we have taken today. So in our next class, I will be giving you all the specimen listed in this particular year specimen, which is already out. I'll give you all the breakdown of the specimen in here. Remember, everything we did in this particular part are only the preambles, examples on how the kind of things you are going to meet in your exam. So by the time I make the next video, you will now begin to see all the possible questions that you will see pertaining to this year's specimen that has been given to us. And by the way, if you need a copy of this, or if you need a PDF of this, or if you need me to send you the specimen written in this booklet, all you need to do is just leave your comment on the comment section, and I promise you that I will send it to you immediately. And again, if you're a student who will be writing WAEC this year, if you need any assistance in your exams, all you need to do is just join our Telegram channel or our WhatsApp group in order to get all the relevant information, help that you need in order to make excellent results in these particular exams.